Hello, welcome back to the PNY Podcast. My name is Jerome, and I'm here with Derek.
Hello, everyone.
And today we have Exxact Corporation on with us. We actually have Justin Wang, who is the product marketing specialist for Exxact. How's it going, Justin?
Good, good. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, no problem. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been working at Exact for about 1.5 years now, almost two. I'm the product marketing specialist at Exact. So essentially, I write the copy, I maintain the website, and I make sure that everything about all the technical specifications for every product is up to par and accurate.
Yeah, and the first thing I want to call out is we started a partner spotlight series, and Exxact Corporation was actually the first one we kicked that off with. We highlighted a data center solution, and it had A100s in it. And I really just want to point out that Exxact, and especially to you, Justin, as well, and the team there, thank you for being a 20-year partner of PNY's. It's been a great collaborative effort, and I know we did the spotlight, and now we have it on the podcast, so it's great to have you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us as well. It's very exciting. Like this is the first time Exact's been doing like a podcast, so it's a new endeavor for us as well, and so we're excited to just have a chat.
Yeah, exactly. So I know you were talking about the spotlight. It's actually kind of interesting because although I've been with PNY for a little while, I've actually transitioned to the PNY Pro side kind of fairly recently, within the past couple of months. So I actually wasn't there for the spotlight. Justin, could you actually give me a little bit more insight into who Exxact is and kind of what the solutions you guys offer?
Yeah, so Exact is an industry-leading hardware distributor, service provider, and systems integrator for high-performance computing solutions. So that includes like workstations, servers, and even clusters. So those racks that you see inside of data centers, we provide anything from a range of like just your desktop solutions and workstations all the way to like full range data center racks. We evaluate, build, and send them out from start to finish. So we even have people who will come and like install your clusters for you, or we can even put them into like a co-location service in which you can just have your servers inside like a shared co-located space.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and then kind of on that topic of data center, and I know that's a big solution as well. The big topic we've been talking about, our previous podcast, we spoke about, the NVIDIA L40S, pretty much the supercharged version of the L40.
Yeah.
So is that going to be a product or a solution that, Exact will be offering within your data centers?
Yeah, definitely. So we're very big on like AI and deep learning and machine learning, and the L40S is like targeted directly for that market. It's set to like replace the demand for the A100 while still being accessible to various partners that want to delve into the deep learning and AI space and train like large language models and use inferencing for generative AI. And it's definitely one of the top anticipated GPUs to date.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because I know, again, last week we had Zach on the podcast as well. And again, he was talking about the L40S and all the different AI training that can be done. And again, it seems like the L40S is just going to be a huge card based off of all the different capabilities that it does have when it comes to AI training and AI learning and all of these different things.
Yeah, and also too, Justin, on that, because you mentioned, generative AI, inferencing, AI training. I mean, that's big topics. I mean, I feel like we talked about, or we touched on those topics the past 3 or 4 episodes, because coming out of CGraph and at the keynote with Jensen, that was a big focus. So you mentioned a little bit about Exact and kind of your offering and what you do and solutions. So say if there is a customer out there that's looking for, a data center or something that is going to be used for AI training or generative AI, is that something that Exact would actually, build out and test before it went to the customer?
Yeah, so we build each system and then we test them and make sure that we burn them in before we send them out to customers, making sure that they're working at a proper temperature, proper specs, and to our standards, and making sure that they're receiving a solution that we're proud of as well.
When it comes to different HPC solutions, I guess I kind of wanted to get into like how that whole entire process works, what the different solutions you guys have are, kind of go into that topic a little bit more.
So there are a range of different solutions that people need, and that range spans from just me and you wanting to try something out with deep learning. Let's say, for example, you want to do an open source project using Hugging Face or even NVIDIA containers. And you can use those like small models to design your own deep learning models. Or you can go all the way to the enterprise setting in which you're developing something like ChatGPT and you're training with thousands of A100s and making this large language model that you and I can like literally talk to and get a better understanding of, let's say, a topic. You can ask them to summarize things. So there's like a wide range of different applications. And Exact will target either any of those like applications, whether you're just a small research company or you're a large enterprise setting.
So I know we hit a lot on the L40S data center, but also when it comes to workstations, we have the ADA solutions, which in the beginning was just a 6,000 ADA and the 4,000 SFF, which is a small form factor, like we said in the last one. It's a different form factor for a very small system. But now, again, following up after CGraph, we now have the RTX 4000, we have the RTX 4500, and the RTX 5000 to fill that stack of ADA solutions. So is that something that within the workstation you can, train, validate, burn, and test and make sure that that system is specific and ready to go, say for if someone wants to train an AI model?
Yeah, definitely. So those are all very capable solutions. The 6000 ADA is very, very strong, but it's also quite pricey. So someone who's starting out might not gravitate towards such a high performing GPU. They might need to start with something a little less because they won't be able to cap out on the memory capacity, or they won't be able to utilize 6000 ADA as well as if they were to just try it on like a 4500 or 4000. The RTX 4000 is a single slot card, so it's easy to like expand for scalability. It's smaller and it requires less power, so you're not constrained too much. And you can even power with like, a simpler or less core CPU. And it's just a smaller and easier to like manage platform than to like go all out with the 6000 ADA. So that's where those cards slot in.
So Justin, with the 4000, being a single slot and a full length card, but then also you have the 5000 now to fulfill the ADA stack, what target markets do you usually work with? And, maybe where do you see like this full stack of ADA products being a good solution for different markets?
Some other industries that Exact tackles is the life science industry, and that includes molecular dynamics, drug discovery, and cryo-EM, which is basically taking pictures of molecules in 2D so that you can stack it and make it into a 3D molecule. You can use the middle of the range cards like the RTX 5000 ADA, the 4500 ADA, and the 4000 to slot in nicely so that they have like less gigabytes so that you're not maxing out on like, let's say the RTX 6000 ADA. Those applications predominantly work in like the research lab. And so they work in a workstation easily. So you can either have a 4 or a 2 GPU configuration to do all the math that's needed to reconstruct the molecules, all the math that's needed to do those simulations, and even like artificial intelligence applications within drug discovery and molecular dynamics.
And so does that tie back into inferencing and generative AI in some ways? Does that kind of correlate the same way that you would use that same GPU in this instance as in another field?
Correct. Yeah. So generative AI spans across various like applications whether it's like chatbots and like making images, or it can be making molecules based on like protein properties. Like I want my protein to do a specific or have a specific trait. And so you would tell that to your generative AI and it would give you an idea of what to expect in your protein.
Interesting. So that one's definitely focused on kind of that healthcare field in that sense, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's where it's kind of hitting on, but then also too, like when you have media entertainment, which is a really big market. And I know, the 5000, I feel like is like that sweet spot. But again, as Justin was mentioning, I mean, if they want the max out, then of course the 6000 ADA is definitely, the way to go there. And I do find it interesting, again, with the whole AI and generative AI, like we talked about last episode with Zach, is to where you can start training these AI models. His example was cats and dogs, and then you can like start training to what a cat and dog is, the difference, and then okay, what is a Yorkie, and it can pinpoint Yorkies. So this whole AI revolution, just kind of the advancements of it, I just can't wait to see where it goes in the future here. It's awesome, and just again hearing all the solutions that Justin has to offer, it's again they have something set for someone that's an enterprise level and wants to really do some super AI training or inferencing or generative AI, but then also for the people who are just kind of getting into it and just want to get their feet wet and
Yeah.
again maybe try their own AI model. They have the workstation. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, really interesting. Actually, one of the things that kind of branching off of that too is deep learning. How would deep learning kind of tie into what Exact does?
A large portion of our clients actually want to do deep learning. And you might understand deep learning as like, oh, that's ChatGPT, or I'm just trying to understand some data, or it's a recommender system like Netflix. But a lot of different companies are developing their internal deep learning models that we might not know of that will increase their workflow. And so whatever they need in terms of like, oh, I'm going to train an AI model that I'm going to input with 1,000 images or 1,000,000 images, that scale will tell us what we're going to deliver to them and what we want to recommend to them, as well as like what their budget is and making sure that we're within those budget constraints. We work with our clients like very closely so that we can pinpoint exactly what they need, exactly what they want in their exact budget.
Mm, very interesting. Can you kind of go in depth a little bit more and talk about maybe like a specific field? Like, do you have an example of where that field could be seen using deep learning?
We worked with a client that would use deep learning to study the brain and mental disorders. And so they would take in a lot of like medical data, and they would process it so they could understand the differences within like, oh, does this genome cause like autism? Does this genome not cause autism? And so they're trying to use deep learning to apply that to the medical field so they can understand or predict whether or not someone will have a brain disorder or how their brain will react to something.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's again that's where just like a technology and just this AI, 'cause you get a mix. I feel like AI is good, and some like oh AI could be bad, but I feel for the most part, especially in this case that you just gave us, Justin, it's just especially in the medical area, I think is awesome.
Yeah.
You can do scans, you can tell if there's a tumor, you can train something there, or if we're trying to um, help it or cure it, let's try this and again run that model as well. And I know even on the keynote and Jensen on a whole different topic, he used the example of the world and kind of how it's forming and kind of pushing out 20 years from now, hurricanes, weather patterns, wildfires and all this good stuff. And again, I know it's way off from the medical field, but then AI again just it
Right.
shows that it can just hit in so many different markets, and I think just be an overall good helpful tool for us to
Yeah.
advance just as in general humans.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Because even on my side, when I first kind of moved over to the PNY Pro side of things and kind of understanding the different markets that we really take form in, and not really realizing that, like, okay, these GPUs are more than just used in these data servers. They're used in, the medical field as well as when creating, when it comes to content creation all across the board. It can be used and implemented in all these different markets and facets, which is really interesting. Is there any specific market that kind of really interests you, Justin, when it comes to using these GPUs?
The first thing that I was tasked with was to study something called AlphaFold, which was a deep learning and protein predicting model developed by DeepMind and Google. AlphaFold was tasked to predict the structure of a protein. And this problem has been going on for a really long time. And no one was able to, get close to being somewhat accurate. But AlphaFold using deep learning was able to hit a 60% accuracy, which is really good,
Wow.
blowing every other competition or every other competitor out of the water. From previous years, they were around like 40%. But their iteration in 2020, AlphaFold 2, hit a 90% accuracy rate, which was insane. And nowadays, like researchers use AlphaFold to decide their molecular candidates for their drug discovery or predict proteins. And there's like a whole protein bank using AlphaFold so that people can access this bank so they can further train the model as well as utilize other people's inference of their previous molecular protein structures, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think it's actually kind of mind blowing because, again, I keep kind of going back to the fact that I really didn't understand that we really touch all of these different markets that, especially when it comes to healthcare and how intricate these can kind of really get into, understanding that, this is changing people's lives.
Yeah, and I see in some cases it's a life-saving solution, and I mean, especially like you said in the medical field, and I just see it just advancing more and more from here. Like you said, it started off at what I think you mentioned 60-70%. I believe, and then the second model was 80%, and it's not something that's just like a simple task. It's something that is gathering a lot of information and trying to make itself smarter in a sense, so that way when you prompt it or you talk to it or whatever you're trying to do to have this generate out to you, it's as accurate as possible.
Right.
So Justin, I know just to kind of segue here then, I just wanted to ask, since you've been at Exxact Corporation and I know you guys have a lot of cool stuff there, like what's been your favorite, product, or is there like something that you've done there on the project that in terms of hardware or again, software, anything that really like stood out and you're like happy to work on or just kind of see in person? Like again, going back to the Spotlight, that was my like first time having that like a server that massive in front of me and then able to play with it and highlight it. So is there anything, since you've been on the Exxact team, like what's been something that's just like really exciting for you?
I really like the GPUs. So Exxact is we specialize in providing GPUs, right? And so I get to see like solutions that have multiple GPUs. Like I don't have multiple GPUs at my computer at home, but we're stuffing 4 GPUs in a single system. We're putting 8 H100s inside a server, and it's just a marvel to see just so much computing power on the table in front of me while we take pictures of them.
Wow, that's insane.
Well, hey, I think that that kind of concludes or wraps things up here. And I mean, Justin, again, thank you so much for joining us for an episode on the podcast here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a joy.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do another one in the future. And Jerome, I guess, tell everybody where can they find us?
Yeah, so make sure you check us out on YouTube. That's where our video will live. Also listen to it on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or SoundCloud, or anything else. Just search us as PNY Pro Podcast.
Great. All right. Well, it's been great. Thanks again, Justin. And thank you to Exxact Corporation for being a 20-year PNY partner. We appreciate it and look forward to doing more with you.